What if one sentence in a courtroom could change an entire life forever? The judge said, "Choose whoever you want," and the room waited for cruelty. Until one rancher stood up and made a choice no one expected. A choice that would challenge the law, shake a town, and redefine justice itself. This is not just a Western story. It's a story about courage, humanity, and the power of standing alone when everyone else stays silent. If stories like this move your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who loves powerful storytelling, and comment below where you're watching from. Now take a deep breath. Let's start this story. The courtroom froze the moment. The judge's words settled into the air, heavy as gun smoke after a shot. Choose whoever you want. The sentence was meant to sound lawful, ordinary, but everyone knew what it truly meant. Eyes drifted toward the young Apache woman standing alone at the front. Wrists bound, chin lifted with quiet defiance. She had learned long ago that begging only fed cruelty. Her dark eyes moved across the room, reading faces, measuring danger, accepting that her fate would be decided by men who had never cared to know her name or her story. Whispers crept through the benches like restless snakes. Some men leaned forward with interest, others with mockery. A few avoided looking at her at all, ashamed of thoughts they did not want reflected back at them. The judge adjusted his spectacles, already bored, ready to move on. This was not justice. It was convenience dressed as law. The Apache woman felt the familiar tightening in her chest. Not fear exactly, but the exhaustion of knowing the world expected her to be less than human. Then the sound came, sharp and sudden, slicing through the murmurs. A chair scraped back hard against the wooden floor. Heads snapped around. From the rear of the courtroom, a rancher rose slowly, as if standing carried weight beyond the movement itself. He was tall, broad, his coat worn thin at the elbows, his face carved by sun and silence. He did not look angry or eager. He looked resolved, the way men look when they have already decided something and are simply carrying it out. The rancher stepped forward, boots echoing with each measured stride. The judge frowned, surprised by the interruption. Before he could speak, the rancher's voice filled the room, steady and clear. "I want the young Apache woman." The words struck harder than any shout. A gasp rippled outward. Someone laughed nervously. Someone else muttered a curse. The Apache woman lifted her eyes, confusion flashing across her face. Of all the outcomes she had imagined, this had never been one of them. The judge studied the rancher carefully, suspicion narrowing his gaze. "You understand the responsibility," he said. "The law places her under your authority. Anything she does will be on you." The rancher nodded once. "I understand." There was no hesitation, no attempt to explain himself. That calm certainty unsettled the room more than anger would have. After a long pause, the judge struck the gavel, sealing a decision that felt irreversible. Outside, the air felt different, lighter and crueler all at once. The Apache woman walked beside the rancher, chains still cold against her wrists. She watched him closely, waiting for the moment kindness would turn into ownership, mercy into a cage. When they reached his horse, he surprised her again by cutting the rope free. "You are not owned," he said quietly. "You are safe for now." Safety was a word she barely trusted, but the absence of restraint spoke louder than promises. They rode west, away from town, dust rising behind them like ghosts of judgment left behind. The rancher did not speak, and she did not ask questions. The land stretched open and wide, a reminder that freedom could exist, even if it was fragile. As the sun dipped low, she studied the man who had altered her fate with a single sentence. He rode straight-backed, eyes forward, not once turning to look at her as if she were something claimed. The ranch came into view near dusk, modest but orderly, fences standing firm against the wind. Horses grazed calmly, lifting their heads as they approached. The Apache woman felt her body tense, ready for another trial, another rule, another quiet humiliation. Instead, the rancher dismounted and gestured toward the house. "You'll eat, rest, and decide what comes next tomorrow," he said. No commands, no threats, just an offer she did not know how to refuse. That night, sleep did not come easily. She lay awake listening to unfamiliar sounds, half expecting betrayal. Memories of loss pressed close, reminding her that kindness often came with a price. Across the house, the rancher sat alone at his table, staring at his hands. He wondered if the town would come for them, if he had just invited trouble onto land already scarred by hardship. Still, he felt no regret, only the strange certainty that this choice, whatever it cost, had been necessary. Morning arrived pale and quiet. The Apache woman stepped outside and breathed deeply, surprised by the absence of fear in her chest. The rancher handed her food, not as a master, but as an equal sharing what little he had. In that silent exchange, something unspoken passed between them, fragile but real. Neither of them knew it yet, but the choice made in that courtroom had set events into motion that would challenge a town, a law, and the meaning of justice itself. Days passed with a quiet rhythm that felt almost unreal to the young Apache woman. Sunrise meant work, not punishment. She helped with the horses. The ranch followed the rules of the land, not the cruelty of men, moving among them with calm confidence. And the animals responded as if they recognized something familiar in her. The rancher noticed, but did not comment. He believed respect grew best in silence. At night, they ate simple meals across the same table, speaking only when words were necessary, learning each other through patience rather than questions. Trust did not arrive suddenly. Some mornings she woke ready to run, heart racing at the memory of chains and courtroom eyes. Yet every time the rancher treated her the same, steady and fair. He showed her the boundaries of the land and told her she was free to walk them. "You leave if you want," he said once. "I will not stop you." The freedom in that statement frightened her more than captivity ever had. Freedom meant choice, and choice meant responsibility. News from town carried bitterness on the wind. People talked. Some called the rancher a fool, others called him worse. Riders passed by more slowly now, eyes sharp, hands never far from their weapons. One evening, the tension finally broke. A group of men rode up hard, dust and anger swirling together. They accused the rancher of harboring danger, of betraying his own. And the Apache woman stepped forward, prepared to defend herself. But the rancher moved first, placing himself between her and the rifles. "This ends here," he said calmly. "You came, looking for a fight, but you won't find one." The standoff stretched long and thin, until the men, unsure and unwilling to cross a line drawn by quiet resolve, turned back. That night the Apache woman understood something new. He had not chosen her for power or profit. He had chosen a principle, and he was willing to stand alone for it. The next crisis came with blood and blame. A nearby settler family was attacked, and fear demanded an enemy. Soldiers prepared to strike the Apache camps without proof. The young woman knew the pattern too well. Innocent lives would pay for someone else's crime. She saddled her horse before dawn, ready to leave and warn her people. The rancher stopped her at the gate. "Running will only confirm their lies," he said. "Let us face this together." They rode to town as the bells rang, tension thick in the streets. Inside the same courtroom, the rancher spoke again. But this time his voice carried more than authority. It carried truth earned through action. He told them what he had seen, what he knew, and what fear was turning them into. Then the Apache woman stepped forward. She spoke of loss, of being judged without being heard, of a future that could not survive endless hatred. Her words broke something open. Silence followed, then doubt, then understanding. Evidence emerged. The attack had been the work of outlaws, not Apache. The soldiers stood down. Threat passed, but the town was changed. Some looked ashamed, others looked thoughtful. The law for once bent toward justice. When it was over, the Apache woman stood outside beneath an open sky. She turned to the rancher and thanked him, not with submission, but with respect. "You did not save me," she said. "You stood with me. That is different." He nodded, knowing she was right. She left the ranch soon after, returning to her people by choice, not force. The rancher watched her ride away, feeling both loss and pride. The land felt quieter without her, but stronger too. He returned to his work, carrying the weight and the gift of the choice he had made. The story spread slowly, carried by travelers and time. A reminder that one voice, spoken at the right moment, can challenge cruelty and change fate. In the end, the judge's words had offered a choice, but it was the rancher's courage that gave those words meaning.